How's it going, my trim people? Dr. Slacking, the Slacking Doctor, back with the team builder for your Bowline Bovines in the week 2 of the PGBL. And this week we are going up against... Man, I should have double checked this before we started recording, but I think his name is Marz Super YouTube, I believe. Marz King Super YouTube. Either way, his channel link will be down in the description, and it's the one with Marz in it, I know that much. Seems like a super nice guy from my brief interactions with him, and his LA Landorus, I believe is his team name. I don't know much about this guy, never interacted with him prior to the PGBL, but very, very excited to be battling a new face. I always look forward to that. So, if you didn't check out last week's battle, go ahead and check that out because there's going to be some spoilers in this team builder for how we got on last week. And for those of you that watched team builder last week and are thinking, hey, he looks like he's dressed in the exact same clothes as last week and sounds equally as bunged up, as sinusy, as fluey as he did last week. It's because I am. I'm recording it immediately after last week's team builder. Very confusing, I know, but Marz and I play later tonight, and I thought this would be a really good way of kind of refreshing my memory before we play by recording the team builder, and I always prefer to record them before the battle if I can, because I hate to think that I ever hint towards any spoilers during the team builder. So, all of that being said, let's get into the team that we are prepping for here. As we look at Marz's draft, he has the Blacephalon, Latios, Klefki, Rotom Wash, Amoonguss, Magneton, Cofagrigus, Drapion, Alolan Raichu, Bibarel, and Mega Slowbro. So, one thing to note about his team, his two Z users, Latios and Raichu, are pretty scary. Actually, Raichu, I think, as a Z user, isn't too bad. It's better with electric terrain, but it's okay. Latios, in particular, very, very scary Z user, but it's kind of nice to see Blacephalon with no Z. That is something to note. The other thing to note is that his team has an insane ghost weakness. Blacephalon, Latios, Cofagrigus, Alolan Raichu, and Mega Slowbro, all being weak to ghost. He has 3 psychic types and 2 ghosts. What? Very dark weak as well, so we will be looking to exploit that, of course. And also, as best we can, we don't have a ghost type, by the way, but still, we'll be looking to exploit that. And also, the other thing about his team is that outside of the kind of high-tier sort of special mons, he doesn't have a lot of physical threats, right? He has the Drapion and the Bibarel as his physical mons. So, again, very especially offensive team, which can kind of be exploited if you build correctly. So, in general, yeah, interesting team composition, but one that I feel we match up against pretty well. It'd be nice if we had like a Gengar or something. Whew, if we had a Gengar in this game. Jesus, can you imagine Scarf Gengar late game? Oh, insane. But he does have a pretty good check to Ghosts and Psychics and Drapion, so removing that thing can be a little bit annoying, but we have ways. So, looking at the first mon on the team here, we have Lucario, and as you can see, this is not shiny this week because we did lose last week, and I said I would change it if we lost. I actually, immediately after recording the other team builder and seeing it shiny, now seeing it not shiny, I think I prefer it not shiny. I think I've made my decision. I think it will work out for the better. So Cairo is back, this time with the special set rather than a physical set. Vacuum Wave, Flash Cannon, Dark Pulse, Nasty Plot. Unfortunately, we can't really hit things like Blacephalon and Latios anyway. Our priority, unless we're running like E-Speed Sword Stance, doesn't really cover those. Maybe Bullet Punch, I guess, to some extent, but not the Blacephalon super well. So I didn't feel like that was the best way to go with this thing as kind of a late game cleaner or anything like that, because it is outsped by too much and can't hit too much. Instead, I feel like as a wall breaker, it does fantastically well here. The main switch in looks to always be Mega Slowbro to me. You could see maybe Rotom Wash, maybe Amoonguss also being switch-ins, potentially Cofagrigus, I guess. But in general, I think the Mega Slowbro looks like the primary switch-in, and all of those things really get destroyed by this set. Vacuum Wave does hit Rotom Wash pretty hard. Dark Pulse, especially with the Z Dark Pulse, can hit Rotom Wash very hard. Amoonguss doesn't like Flash Cannon. Mega Slowbro hates the Darkinium Z that we're rocking on this set, and as does Cofagrigus. So you can see here, this thing may just literally pick up one big KO and then get revenge killed by like Latios or something. But that's okay. I'll take that, or maybe Blacephalon. But if we can bring good enough pivots into those mons, it might be that we can set up once early game, pick up 1 KO, and then just spam moves later in the game. Maybe spam that Dark Pulse and pick up a couple more KOs. Who knows? Picking off weaker things. But yeah, I think Cairo has a good matchup here, especially with that Dark coverage and the Z move yet again. Second mon on the team was built to take on that Blacephalon, as I've just mentioned. So, for example, if we see the Blacephalon come in wanting to revenge kill our Our Lucario there, we might be able to preserve our Lucario by just going straight into Rouge. This is a Spadef set. It really just walls the hell out of Blacephalon. We can roost up on that thing. Dark Pulse is so spammable against his team that we would just be clicking that 9 times out of 10. I did consider bringing just like a sub-metronome Dark Pulse type set, something like that, just to sit there and spam. But in reality, I don't think it's necessary. I just think that Dark Pulse is so free and that the Spadef set means we can keep our Lucario around. It's worth it. I think it's worth having that pivot to Blacephalon to make sure that thing doesn't get out of hand, as we don't have great priority to hit it on the team. So moving on to the third one here, we have Spotlight with the Heal Bell, because that's the one thing that could be annoying for Hydreigon if it gets toxic. I don't really want to deal with that. If Amoonguss wants to spore it, I don't really want to deal with that. So we have Heal Bell on the Spotlight. This thing is primarily coming to be a cleric, but also is our best stealth rocker in this matchup. It can help with things like Latios too. This is a very Spadef set, so we can switch in on Psychics pretty well. Obviously, if he's spamming like Psy Shock or Surf or Specs or whatever and predicts the right move, that could be a little scary, but in general, this thing can take on like Raichu decently well. It can take on Latios decently well, and of course it can take fire moves from Blacephalon, no problem. Diamond Stomp plus Moonblast hits most of his team. There's only really the Klefki there that we can't touch, and I'm not super worried about the Klefki. I guess the Magneton too, he does have double steel, but again, I'm not super worried about either of those, and they do kind of have to fear maybe a little bit of Earth Power potential. Moving on to the fourth one of the team, we have Red the Scissor with the Assault Vest here. This thing could potentially get trapped by Magneton, so I do need to be very careful of that. But with the Assault Vest, we should be able to take Hidden Power Via and U-turn out potentially, or knock off and get rid of its Choice Scarf if it's rocking a Choice Scarf, which could be huge. That was something I found in my one mock. Shout out to the one guy who did mock with me. It's not even the one guy anymore, he's just the one, Elliot. Shout out to Elliot for mocking with me. One thing I found in that matchup was that getting rid of Magneton's Choice Scarf was pretty huge. But really, this thing is designed to come in on Latios, hopefully come in on a Draco Meteor, him not be able to KO me with a Hidden Power Fire, so I want to switch out, and me be able to just Pursuit Trap and OHKO that Latios. The Assault Vest does mean we don't get reliable recovery and roost, but it means that we can run this thing a lot more offensive and still have the bulk, and I felt like that was a worthwhile trade-off. Bullet Punch can be really, really useful. It still does a chunk to Blacephalon, it's not bad at all. Knocking off something like Rotomwash's Super Berry or Leftovers is key. Knocking off Rotom's item, if it's like going to be Light Clay or something like that, can be key. Knocking off Amoonguss can be key. Magneton, as I've already said, is pretty huge. The Alolan Raichu doesn't like getting knocked off, and we can definitely sponge a hit from that thing outside of Hidden Power Fire if we've been weakened. And yeah, just in general, this thing can really come in and just be a really obnoxious pivot and trapper against his team, something that he doesn't want to deal with. He has so many teams that are Pursuit Trap weak. I felt so many Mons that are Pursuit Trap weak on his team. I felt like this was a really crucial bring. So moving on to the fifth member here, we have Gato, the Mega Alakazam, returning after being the hero last week and not able to pull out a win for us, but was able to pick up 3 KOs and a really, really impressive performance. Really impressed me. So Psychic plus Shadow Ball hits his whole team, as we've already established. Like that, Shadow Ball is just so spammable, and Psychic hits everything else, apart from the Drapion. That's why we have counter on there. This thing, with the investment that we have, can take anything but a banded knockoff from Drapion. I don't see banded knockoff being the play. I think he'll try and Pursuit Trap me. We'll take that for about 40%, 50% counter back and OHKO the Drapion. So this is a really, really nice way of just destroying Drapion, essentially. Even if he goes for the knock, like I say, we should take it unless he's banded. So really, really cool way of just getting rid of Drapion and then potentially freeing up a Shadow Ball late game here. If we can get rid of everything that is like Scarfed or whatever, say Magneton, get rid of that, then Psychic plus Shadow Ball could potentially win the late game hit too. Maybe it's priority in Barrel if that thing for some reason comes. Moving on to the final mon on the team. This is the kind of secondary breaker, I guess, along with Lucario. This thing is just so good. Like, a Zapdos, it's thoroughly been impressing me. Pedro has been going in mocks. Elliot really, really struggled to deal with this thing in the mock. The combination of Thunderbolt plus Heat Wave hits everything barring the Latios, which we can Toxic. Literally everything else gets hits for neutral or super effective damage, which is perfectly fine by me. This is a very offensive spread. We have like Modest with some special attack, we have some speed, we have a lot of HP. I think we even have a little bit of Spadef. Like, this is one of those sets where just a little bit of everything is invested in. So we have great damage output, we are fast, and we are bulky too. We wall Scarf Magneton so we can beat that thing in the late game. We wall Raichu unless it nasty plots up so we can beat that thing at all times. Just Toxic plus Roost beats half his team, and Thunderbolt plus Heat Wave beats the rest. So yeah, this thing can almost 6-0 if we play it right. It does hate being spored by the Amoonguss, but that's why we're bringing Heal Bell, so we can play around that a little bit. So yeah, that is the team. I feel like once again we kind of have the matchup, but I said that last week and we ended up taking the L, so who knows. Hopefully we can go into this one and play really, really well and apply a pressure early against my opponent here. The battle will be up tomorrow, of course. I hope you guys are looking forward to it. I know I am. I'm doing it in a couple of hours and I can't wait. So thank you so much for loafing around with me, and I'll catch you again next time.